Did you know that 90% of the world's millionaires invest in real estate? Well, I'm Angel with the Academy Presents Real Estate Investing Rocks, and I'm here to help you if you want to go for your piece of that pie. Hey guys, it's Angel with the Academy Presents Real Estate Investing Rocks, and today we've got James Jenkins, and he is going to be sharing with us how to not lose your butt in real estate when you get sued, because it's not really one of those if things, it's really when.
Yeah.
One of the things my father-in-law always said was there's three ways that most tenants believe that they're going to retire. They're either going to inherit the money, they're going to win the lottery, or they're going to sue you for it. So what is the only thing that you really have control over? And that's being sued. And thankfully we have the capability to mitigate that risk with insurance coverage. So I'm super excited to be able to have someone to share that with us. So James has got, let's see, you said over 3,000?
A little more than 3,000 properties. Yeah.
Yeah. So crazy, worth a pretty penny. We'll just go with that.
8 or 900 million, somewhere in that range. It's kind of hard to track that stuff.
Yeah, just 8 or 900 million, you know. So he's got some serious coverage going out there, and he's helping so many people. He usually focuses on pretty much, it was 4 different verticals or 4 different, I guess, niches.
Yep.
So you've got like the construction with your GCs, and is it more specialized than the GC or just?
Yeah, it's skilled contractors across the board. And the 4 verticals that we do at RiskWell, and hi there, by the way, for those of you that don't know me, James Jenkins, RiskWell, there you go. The areas we really focus on first, of course, is real estate investors. It's important to hear that every asset class, literally everything, the only thing we don't do in-house are the subject to, like the wrap mortgages, homeowners for those kind of properties. We have a partner here locally that we use for that due to some potential conflict of interest with our investor clients. Literally every other asset class beyond that. Most of what we do is portfolio work with, buy and hold and flip properties. The folks that are flipping, a month, 1 or 2 a month, those all the way up to the folks that have, a couple few hundred properties in their portfolio. And then of course, multifamily and commercial, in the insurance world, you kind of graduate up to bigger and bigger asset classes as you get experience. And we're very fortunate to have a lot of experience with some of the bigger stuff, the more complex. But we have some dedicated people on our team that love working with the new investors as well. So for those of you watching this that maybe you're thinking, well, I don't have an apartment complex. I've got a rent house, got my first property that I'm about to close on. Hey, that's great. You need good risk management advice too. And I think we're going to have a fun conversation here because Lord knows insurance isn't exactly the sexiest thing that we could talk about.
But everybody wants it when it comes time that you need it.
Oh man. Yeah. And I've done enough of these calls to try to keep it relevant and interesting. We're not going to do the super dry stuff. We're not going to talk about, well, this is the feature of this product. And now let me explain this certain term for the insurance world there. And that's when everybody stops watching this video because it's a snooze fest. We don't want to be that, obviously. So, and I should say not just watching, because this is also going on over the airwaves on a podcast. There's a lot of different ways that Angel and her team at Real Estate Investing Rocks, or I should say the Academy Presents Real Estate Investing Rocks. Sorry, let me get your name correct there. But yeah, I think it's going to be a fun conversation. So which way do you want to go? You can lead the way, lady.
So honestly, we're kind of all over the place as far as what we invest in. We are passive investors in the larger multifamily. We personally have smaller multifamily. We have some single family homes. And, you and I briefly talked yesterday about the fact that we're with I guess, kind of a vanilla insurance company that when we moved from our residence and it became our first rental, we were like, well, I guess we just get a landlord policy.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, that's great for a house or 2 houses, maybe 3 houses. But as we've grown, we're now looking at, we'll have 9 single family homes, our personal residence, a quad, a couple of duplexes. I'm looking to build some property on some land I inherited back home, and I think we've outgrown the original people that we were with. And we just need someone that will take the time to really explain to us what our needs are.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we kind of have some idea of what our needs are. And part of that is just out of fear of being sued.
Yeah.
That I think that there's things we don't know that we need coverage for as well, or maybe things that we think we need coverage for that we don't. And so having someone to walk you through that is.
You bring up a really good point, Angel, and what you're experiencing now is what a lot of people experience, because when we all as customers, and I'm a customer too, I personally purchase insurance for my residence, my cars, my life, etc. We all start from the position of your run-of-the-mill home and auto, where if you're a completely normal inside the box sort of client, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with the big box retail insurance companies. I was a Farmers agency owner for 6 years. We opened in 2012 and we sold about a year and a half ago. And there's nothing wrong with the big box company, whether it's Farmers, Allstate, State Farm, USAA, whatever. There's good companies out there that do a good job for the general consumer, the vanilla inside the box thing. Gosh, I can't tell you how many times we talk to an investor or a business owner, and they're frustrated because they feel like they've outgrown their big box, street corner insurance agent, who may be fully capable of doing a good job for home and auto insurance. But if we're honest, they don't have any business trying to advise a real estate investor, especially someone who's doing it as a main focus. If somebody has a couple of rent houses for a side hustle, some nice extra cash flow, that's one thing. Yeah, sure, stick with your Farmers or Allstate or State Farm or whatever. That agent can probably still do a serviceable job. The problem is they're not going to tell you, I don't know how to do that. They're going to BS you and try to keep your business because they like making commissions. No one in sales is, almost no one in sales is ever going to say, I think you've outgrown me. My skill set is no longer adequate for the advice and solutions that you need. I think you should take your business somewhere else. Like, let's be honest, that's never going to come out of an insurance agent's mouth, even if it's the truth.
And I'm sitting here thinking about, so we just had a roof replaced on one of our rental homes. And I can only imagine, what if that home was a quad or a 12 unit or a 16 unit? I don't know that adjuster would have the skill set necessary to be able to estimate a larger property versus a single family home, because it takes a different skill set.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many more options when you move into the 1 to 4 is still pretty much inside the box. It's when you move into a portfolio of properties, when you move into what I consider multifamily, which is anything 5 units or larger. I consider small multifamily. Generally in that 5 to 12 range is the really small multifamily. And then from there, we get more into the apartments style of insurance. So the thing is, the more complex your situation as a real estate investor, the more you need that advice. Because if all you have is a couple of rent houses, really any insurance company, any insurance agent, generally, assuming they're covered correctly and written correctly, anybody can give you reasonably good advice there. It's when you start to move more into the, hey, I'm an actual real estate investor as a full-time thing, or even, a real part-time thing. If you have anything more than, 4 or 5 properties, you really shouldn't be with one of those big box agencies, because they don't even know what they don't know. And as someone who's buying the insurance, that should scare you. If your agent, the one who's supposed to be advising you, the one who's supposed to be warning you about those landmines you're about to walk into, if the agent doesn't even know what they don't know, that is a dangerous place to be. And that's one of the main reasons why I sold my Farmers agency was, this is coming up on, almost 2 years ago, we made the decision to sell and go fully independent. Was I got the distinct impression that I was representing a company that did not know how to handle real estate investors, certainly not the more complicated ones, the ones that have a portfolio. When I would get on the phone with underwriters and get on the phone with the product people, it was like, you guys really don't want to write real estate investors, do you? And it was a pretty consistent no. So, that's who we want to write. We're not the do everything agency. Like when you go and visit riskwell.com, you're going to see very clearly, I put it out there in plain language. We're not for everybody. If you are looking for the quick hits, what's the cheapest thing you got? If you're one of these people that just checks the box and considers insurance to be a necessary evil, yeah, go somewhere else, would you? You'll be happier, and I will be too. But for the real estate investor who, like you, goes, "Ooh, wait a second, I've got some exposure here. If something goes sideways, there's probably a lot of people that might like to sue me. Do I really have the coverage I need to have on these properties? I've got a bunch of properties now. Do all of my properties like collaborate? Is my insurance as efficient and effective as it could be for all of my stuff? Those are the sorts of questions that the smart investor is going to be asking. Those are the sorts of insurance clients that we really prefer to work with. The ones that are more savvy and looking to get that good advice. I would just really encourage your listeners and viewers. Insurance is definitely a game where you get what you pay for. And if you're looking for the cheap option, well, you're going to pay more later at claim time. That's one of those little games we talk about on the insurance, the agent side of things. You're going to pay now or you're going to pay later. So do you want to pay a little bit more now and get better coverage, lower deductibles? So when you have to have a claim later, you don't end up on the wrong side of the stick. And that's not even talking about if someone tries to sue you. We're just talking about good old-fashioned property exposures like weather and fire and broken water pipes and vandalism and such.
And asbestos siding on an older home.
Yeah. Older homes don't have any problems, do they? They don't have like maintenance and upkeep issues. No.
They don't have 12 layers of shingles.
No. 12. Wow.
Man, it may not be 12, but dang it was thick.
It's like, what was this person doing 40 years ago when they put rolled out, you got the cheap 3-tab shingles that just have that one layer. Then you got the really cheap shingles where it just comes in a roll. It's not even a layer. There's not even 3 tabs. It just comes in a big thick roll, and the roofer goes, "All right, done with your roof." Like, okay, wow.
I've seen. So I was fortunate enough that my dad did some repair work and did some construction work. And so when we've been looking at houses, I can pick out asbestos siding.
Oh, yeah.
And so like we were looking at a house and we actually did a walkthrough on it yesterday. And I was like, and we're there with the inspector. I'm like, so is that asbestos siding? And he was like, I'm calling it asbestos look siding. And I was like, so it is.
So what you're saying is, yes, it is asbestos siding.
I'm pretty sure that knowing that out of a house of 5, out of a portfolio of 5 properties, more than one of them is going to have asbestos siding, and that's something you would be able to help us with if we ever had to do abatement on that, or somebody, God forbid, it started breaking up and somebody got sick.
Yeah.
So I mean, those are things that I think people they don't think about.
Yeah.
They're told by someone, oh, just cover it up, it'll be fine. Well, okay, great, cover it up. It's eventually going to have a breakdown.
Yeah. No, and that's one of those things where a lot of policies have exclusions for, mold and asbestos and fungus and other stuff. So where we would, if you know about it on the front end, then it's considered a pre-existing condition and you should be taking care of it immediately because it's only going to get worse over time. Yeah, and that's a perfect example of one of those things for like a flip house where, yeah, you got to take appropriate precautions right now because most insurance is not going to deal with asbestos issues if you knew about it before. Like that's one of those things where knowledge becomes a responsibility because the insurance company is expecting it to be 2 things. There's really only 2 major check boxes: sudden and accidental. So if it's sudden, if it's accidental, great. Let's have a look at that policy and see if it's something that happened slowly over a period of time, or it's something that was existing, was already there before you even purchased the house or purchased the insurance. All right, well, we've got a problem now. Let's dig a little bit here. So asbestos is a sticky one for insurance people, just like it is for real estate investors. We don't typically have a great solution for that, other than let's remediate that sucker and get it off your property as soon as possible.
Yeah. So I have talked to different inspectors that are like, oh, it's only bad if it breaks up. And like, I remember on a property
Yeah.
when we were removing it, and you have on like all the gear because maybe it breaks up, maybe it doesn't, but it's a known carcinogen. And so you better be protecting yourself.
Yeah. Unless you want to end up on the bad end of one of those mesothelioma attorney commercials on TV, let's go ahead and get that remediated, shall we?
Yeah, and get it taken care of. But again, I think that those are things that, especially adjusters in the big box insurance companies now, a lot of them are younger.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm old, I'm only like 43. I think I'm 43. I'm not that old, but I'm old
Yeah.
enough that I saw houses that had asbestos siding and I could pick it out. But I think a lot of younger adjusters wouldn't know what it is. And so when it came time and you had to file a claim, you would find yourself in a situation of, has it been on there the whole time? We're not covering that. Instead of going into something with all the knowledge up front, instead of the asymmetric part of it, and being able to get the help that you need. Because again, like you said, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And so like, I wouldn't have thought about it.
Well, I mean, perfect example that you bring that up with the adjuster. We have a situation currently with one of our investor clients in San Antonio. They bought a house back in, I don't know, March, April. There was a hail incident in San Antonio, late May. I think it was like May 27th was when the hail incident came through. And they had some roof damage and they filed a claim for it. And this company uses a third-party administrator, commonly referred to as a TPA, which a lot of investor programs use TPAs. And they initially said the claim was fine, and then they came back later and someone higher up the food chain said, oh, no, we're not going to pay that based on some really specific language interpretation that I flat out disagree with. And I was on the phone this morning with one of the adjuster supervisors, and they were literally going line by line on the page, and they pulled out, it was like, what do you think about this on page 42? Can you tell me what you see here on this? And it's a builder's risk endorsement for this property policy. And here I am literally going line by line with this adjuster, helping them understand, no, actually what you said is not correct. This is what the policy language specifically states. And if you look over here at section C, line 3 under section C, you see where it says property covered for, renovation under construction. It's the difference between existing structure and the structure that's in the process of renovation. They were trying to say that the roof wasn't covered because it was existing. It was like already on the property, and it simply wasn't supported by the language of the policy. But here I am, I'm the agent, I'm the broker, and I'm having to educate a claims adjuster on actually what you just said is factually inaccurate. What it is, in fact, is this, and was just the opposite of what the adjuster was saying. So, the adjuster is wrong, just like anybody else. They are a human being, just like you and I, and they make mistakes. So it definitely helps to have an agent who, one, has read the policy cover to cover, and then can talk to an adjuster and say, you're not going to deny that claim, and here's why. So, I mean, I don't know. You might get that from a big box insurance agent, but you're probably not. And that's speaking of someone who was one of those big box, nobodies, a copy and paste generic looks and sounds the same as everybody else sort of agent. That was me for 5 years. So I think I have a little bit of credibility when I say, ooh, you're not going to get the same kind of advice from that kind of person, because I used to be one of those kind of people. So
now the fact that you got on the phone with the adjuster and you made your claim, like you were basically fighting them for is that a service that is like normally part of what you do?
Here's the thing. If it goes the way that it's supposed to go, I'm never going to call the adjuster. If it goes the way that my client expects it to go, the adjuster's never going to hear from me because they don't need to. But one of the things that RiskWell promises, like in writing on our website and on the documents that all of our clients sign, we promise two things. We can't promise outcomes because it's not up to me. There's a lot of things outside of my control as your insurance representative. But there's two things that I can promise all of our clients. It is that we will be an advisor that will give them the best possible advice for their unique situation, and we will be their advocate. and we will argue for their best possible outcome given the unique facts of the situation. Advisor and advocate. As someone who buys insurance, you should expect no less from whomever it is that you're trusting with your program. So do we get on the phone with the adjuster and attack? No, I don't want to spend my time doing that, but you better believe I will if it looks like the claim is going in a direction that I'm not happy with. Because the only way I even knew about it was I was CC'd on an email from our client, an investor in San Antonio, who we have quite a few properties with, and he was chewing some butt, and he wasn't very happy with the adjuster, and he CC'd me, and then he texted me and was like, "What the heck, man? They're trying to deny my roof claim." And I'm like, "All right, fine. Hold on. Let me look into this. Let me see what's going on here." And I got in there and figured out, no, they're not doing it the right way. So, just best practice for the investors that are watching this, loop in your agent. Obviously, there's a lot of good agents out there. RiskWell doesn't have a corner on the market of being a good, proactive insurance broker. There are plenty of other good choices out there. Before it gets too bad in a claim situation, just reach out to your agent and ask for assistance, because a good agent being proactive in a claim situation can definitely make some positive changes for you. Because I told them flat out, I told the adjuster, look, this is going to be changed. And if you guys are going to not change it, then your boss is going to have to call me and explain to me the rationale behind denying the claim, because I'm reading the policy right here, page 42 out of 78. And according to page 42, that claim is supposed to be covered. So if you're going to deny that claim, then you better bring your A game, because I will eat you alive if you don't.